Today is a very beginner-friendly training on Claude Cowork. Now, it's kind of hard to do a training on Claude because Claude keeps making so many updates so quickly. Things are changing so fast. If you're unfamiliar with Claude, typically to access Claude Cowork, you have to download the app and access it in your desktop. But Claude is actually now rolling out, it's in beta, but it's rolling out the ability for us to access Claude Cowork in the browser as well. So you don't necessarily have to have the desktop version. Now, I will say that this is being rolled out for the Max plan, which is the $200 plan in Claude. So if you have one of the lower plans, it's not going to be available to you yet. Claude does release all of the newest stuff to the Max plan. So just so you know, so you don't get super frustrated trying to figure all of this out, that you will need to use your desktop version of Cowork unless you have the Max plan and you have access to the beta release. So what I want to do is I want to go through the guide that I created for you guys, the step-by-step to help you understand not just what Cowork is, but the difference between Cowork and chat, because that it is a big difference. And I want to explain that to you. And then I want to actually show you how to get Cowork set up the right way so that you actually understand how to use this and how you can use this effectively. Inside of our community, you see today's post, and this does have the link to today's guide. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, because I do put Monday's replays on YouTube, the link to this guide will be in the description of the video. So you want to definitely get access to that guide. And when you do, you will see this is what it looks like here. So we are talking about setting up Claude Cowork the right way. I know lots of times people set up Claude Cowork and they're just kind of figuring things out, myself included. And it takes a little while to figure out how to really set things up in a way that's going to be productive for your business. And so I want to help you fast track that learning curve and just show you some quick things that you can do to make sure that you are utilizing this effectively. All right. So what Claude Cowork is and why right now. So you know Claude as a chat window. Cowork is Claude with its sleeves rolled up. So in chat, you work with Claude going back and forth, and Cowork, you hand Claude the whole job, and it works across your files, your email, your computer, your calendar, and the web until the job is done. So here's why timing matters. On July 7th, Anthropic moved Cowork to cloud and now runs on your web and your phone, not just the desktop app. You can start a job at your desk by closing the laptop, and Claude keeps working. Now, this is a big thing because it used to be to utilize this, your desktop or your laptop had to be open, and otherwise it would not run the task. Now you can actually do that with it closed. So when you're binge watching YouTube tutorials to try to figure out, like, why are they saying that my laptop needs to be open and this is saying it's not, it's because things are just happening so fast that sometimes the information is consistent. So I just wanted to let you know, as of July 7th, which was just not that long ago, you can now use it without your computer being open. So when it hits a decision, only you can make, the question comes to your phone. Now, how crazy is that? You do need to have the app downloaded to your phone as well so that it will do that. So nothing gets sent to you until you approve it. And here's the myth to drop. Cowork is not a coding tool. Anthropic studied 1.2 million Cowork sessions this spring. The number one use, a third of everything, was everyday business work like reports, checklists, and spreadsheets. Content writing was next. Coding was under 9%. The tool was made for people like us. Now, if you do want to use Claude Code, that's a different training, and I will be doing training on that as well. But I want you to kind of eliminate that fear that if you jump into Claude Cowork, there's going to be a bunch of techie things happening. And that really is not the case. Cowork is designed for that mid person who's a little bit more advanced than the basic chat, but also maybe not so advanced that you are developing and building apps and writing code. So Anthropic doubled Cowork usage limits through August 5th to mark the launch. So there's never been a better window to learn than this week. That is really important because Cowork does use more of the limits than the chat, for example. And so if you do want to play around with Cowork, or what I like to say is practice getting your systems built in Cowork, because never go to AI thinking that I am just going to go to this chat conversation and I'm going to be like, how can you help me? Okay, that doesn't do anything. The best thing that you can do is go to Claude with an agenda in mind. I mean, I am talking about use your wildest imagination, things that you maybe don't even know are possible. Dream as big as you can dream and go to Claude Cowork and say, this is what I'm trying to do. This is something that I do every single day. Now, I want you to tell me how you can help me automate as much of this as possible. Now, there are things that Cowork can do through API access and all the connectors, but there's other things that it can do using Claude Chrome. And yes, you can use Claude Chrome in Cowork. And I'm going to show you an example of that here in just a few minutes. All right, so chat versus Cowork, the real difference. So it's the same Claude brain, they just work in different ways. So with Claude Chat, you attach the files one at a time, every single chat. Claude gives you an answer, then you copy, download, and move it. You re-explain your business every single time. I mean, with the exception, you do have like the memory and your global instructions, but you really do need to explain your business every single time because it can't access the folders or any of that. So the work stops when you close the window. You can point Claude to a specific folder and it reads everything inside that folder. So if you imagine you're like giving a brain to your project and you can choose the specific brain or folder that you want it to access so that it can't access everything. That's really important because a lot of information for AI is overwhelming and it gives you a really bad output. But if you give it very specific information that is easy enough for it to read and understand, then it's going to give you a better output. So Claude creates and edits real files saved right where you work. So I mean like documents and MD files, which are like skills and PDFs and things like that. And images, when you save or you're building it in Cowork, you can actually save them to your computer directly in that conversation. That's not possible in Claude Chat. So a standing instructions file teaches Claude your business at once. You can use your brand guide. You can attach a folder to your Claude Cowork account, and then you can put your brand guide in it, and then it can read everything about your brand and your calls to action and your customer and everything. So that immediately saves you a lot of time having to come back and explain all of that to Claude so that you can get a good output. So the simplest way to say it, with chat, you bring the work to Claude. With Cowork, Claude works where you already are. You ask chat answers or ask for answers, and you hand Cowork a job, and you come back to a finished deliverable. The organized folder, the report, the spreadsheet, the week of posts. So think of it like this. Chat is a smart friend on the phone. Cowork is an employee at a desk in your office with keys to the filing cabinet and a to-do list. Obviously, that is a big difference, right? So before you start, get these 4 things ready. And setup takes about 20 minutes. So you do need a paid Claude plan. Cowork on the desktop works on every paid plan, Pro, Max, Team, Enterprise. The new web and phone version is rolling out in beta. So Max plans first, more plans over the next few weeks. The Claude desktop app, download it, and you can go to claude.ai/download and sign in. The desktop is the full experience. It is the best way to utilize Claude because Claude can reach your local files and your browser there. So what we want to do is we want to create a folder on your computer called Cowork Hub or Claude Projects or whatever you want to call it. We're going to drop 2 or 3 business files in the folder, and it can include your bio, your price list, a blog draft. Adding the brand guide that you get from the My Vision Assistant is going to take care of all of that because it already knows about you, your plans, your brand voice, and your calls to action, all of that. One real task, you're going to pick a job that you keep putting off, messy downloads folder, a client checklist, a stack of notes. That should be a report. So why one folder? Claude only sees the folder you connect, and it asks permissions before changing anything. That is crucial. One small hub folder keeps you in control and makes the first win easy. Okay, so when we're getting things set up, we want to open up Cowork on the home screen. We're going to open the desktop app. Chat and Cowork now shares one home. So you start a Cowork task right at home. On the web, it works the same. So if you're looking at the web here, you'll see this is what Claude Cowork looks like. And if we look at the desktop version as well, you can see this is what it looks like. So used to be up here in the top left-hand corner, we had chat, Cowork, and code. Now we just have home and code. My theory is that they're going to be combining all of these and hopefully have some intelligence on the back end to help you decide which is the best option based off of your goals and what you're asking for. You'll see here in the chat, we have the ability to move this between chat and Cowork. And as we toggle between the two, you see the differences, right? If we're in Cowork, we have the ability to add a folder here. We also have the ability to manually approve all of the different permissions, or we can skip all approvals and allow Claude to just go ahead and do the actions. Now, this definitely does come with a warning here, because if Claude is never asking us things, it's doing things on its own. We know that AI can oftentimes hallucinate and it can just go off on a tangent. So you definitely do want to use this cautiously. If you're, what I would say really a safe practice, if you're using this option here, make sure that you're just sitting by your computer, you're checking in periodically, because this is a real thing. You can say skip all approvals because it's very tempting to do this, but Claude could get super confused, go off on a tangent, doing a bunch of research, and then you come back and you're like, whoa, all of my tokens have been used up like overnight because it was doing these random things. And so, like I said, you want to just use it appropriately and sparingly. This option here, Claude is not going to change anything without your actions or your approval. If I did want to change the model here, I can do that here, and you'll see that Fable 5, the one that we now finally have access to again because the government said, no, Claude, it's too good. You're going to have to stop and let us look at it. Okay, so that's what happened. And then now we have the ability to use Fable 5 again. Now, I will say Fable 5 is definitely a beast, but it's not really the best thing for everything. So don't think that, oh, well, the best, most expensive model is the best thing for everything. Fable 5 is better for like your toughest challenges. If you want it to do in-depth research with like 150 different agents and you want it to create a skill and then do like multiple different tasks, that's what something like Fable 5 would be good for. Most people are going to really have the best results with Opus 4.8. It's really good for complex tasks. Sonnet 5, you can see, most efficient for everyday tasks. And then the Haiku, which I'll be honest, I never really use. I mean, this is good for chat, but I typically just stay on Opus 4.8 for most everything. Okay, so you'll see all of your past conversations here. And if you do want to add a file or photos here, like individual folders, you could do that here. You could also select any of the skills that you have created. So I told you guys last week how to create an expert skill, and we used a copywriter, for example. So if I was creating copy for a website or something like that, I would want to come in here and then choose the skill that I want to use and then say, reference this skill and help me create copy for my website. So you can see all of that. You can manage the skills by clicking here, and you can, of course, edit any of these. Now, the connectors are the different tools that you have the ability to connect to your conversation. Now, if I click here, you'll see all of these different connectors that I have in my Claude account. Now, if I want specific connectors for this specific project, or I want to turn off connectors for this project, like maybe I don't want it to reference at all anything from, in this example, or Audible or Canva, for example, I would just toggle all of these off and it won't be able to read or write to these connectors. I do have the ability also to use plugins. And you guys know I created a Facebook ads plugin that is getting great results. You guys do have access to that. It's in the replay section. Go to the training. It was in June. So go to the June training and look for the Facebook ad plugin. You'll be able to utilize this. And when you install the plugin into your Claude account, you'll see here for this example, if I wanted to create a Facebook ad, I would use this skill and then I would flesh out my idea for the Facebook ad and it would tell me all the targeting. It would tell me the process for setting it up, the process for installing a Facebook pixel, what type of image I should have, or if a video would work better. This is going to help you do all of that. Now, skills are trained to do one specific thing. Plugins are a collection of skills that you have to complete a task, just so that you understand that. So you can see the difference here between chat and Cowork. If I wanted to attach a project here, like you can see, I have lots of different projects, but you may have a project that is just called like Claude. Like I said, your how to use Claude, or I have an email manager, or I have my podcast flow here. So if I wanted to create something that is specific to my podcast, I want to select my podcast folder because I want it to know everything about my podcast, my flow, maybe other videos. Maybe I want it to pull a video or a transcript that I have inside of this folder. I can attach that here, and then I can ask it anything that I want to about this particular podcast. Now, here's the cool thing that I want you guys to know. So I'm just going to close out of this. Let me select this again, and then I don't have any folders here. But here's the cool thing that I love so much about Cowork. Now, Cowork can utilize Claude Chrome, and we can use Cowork to guide Claude Chrome. So let me minimize this for just a second. And here's the easiest way that you're going to do this. All right. Now, what I want to do is actually, I'm going to go to let me put this over to the side. I want to go to my high level account here. Let me make sure. I have to do this off the screen because I don't want to expose any contact information. Let me go into a demo account. Okay. Now I'm going to pull this up here. Now here is one of the coolest ways of using Claude Cowork with Chrome. This is just an example. So here I have all of these fake contacts in my demo account. And let's say that I wanted to give this to Cowork, and I want to say, I want you to, or actually let's go to marketing here. And let's go to templates, because this is one of my favorite things. All right, now I'm going to copy this. So now I have the URL of my high-level account with the templates selected. Now I'm going to go open up my Cowork, and I'm going to say, let me paste that there. This URL is a link to all of my email templates, and this is actually in a demo account. This is not in my main account, just so you know. And I want you to go through all of the templates, and I want you to find all of them with the word. Let me just find something that it can find. Okay, so let's go back here. With the title, new template, and I actually want to delete these templates. So now what I wanted to do is I'm going to give it the URL, all right, of all of my templates inside of my high-level account, and I'm telling it, I am giving it this link. Now I want it to go and I want it to find every template with the title new template because I want to delete it. So I'm going to go ahead and send that. Now you'll be able to see how Claude Cowork can drive Claude Chrome. Now, this may seem like an obvious thing, but I actually just posted this on my Facebook profile, and that there were so many people that did not even realize that Cowork can actually drive Claude Chrome. So if you guys are following along here and the magic of what is happening, imagine telling Cowork a task or something that you want it to complete, and then it says, oh, I don't have API access to do that. Now you can say, great, use Claude Chrome, and then just go ahead and do it for me. So you can now see the page is loading. It's waiting another second. It's taking a screenshot. If I minimize this, I can see the little orange arrow. You can see that now Claude Cowork is driving Claude Chrome and it's completing actions inside of my account. Like you can see, it just searched for all of the templates that I have in this account that say new template. Now, what's great about Cowork and Chrome is that there are no permissions. Now, imagine I was doing this for a client account. Of course, I need to have access to it. But as long as I have access, I don't need to set them up in my Claude account. I don't need to have special permissions or anything like that. I can just open up the tab and the URL, and then I can have Cowork drive Claude Chrome. I can tell it exactly what to do. I could have it do anything that I do not have API access to technically do. So let's go back up here and let's see what Cowork is telling us. The page is still loading. Okay, so found them. The search results, exactly 8 templates. So it's telling us all of the templates and it says, before I delete anything, this is permanent. So here's the full list. One heads up, this search covers the home view. You also have 2 folders, affiliate management and client portal. If any new template copies live inside those folders, they would not show up here. Can I check those folders too if you want? So do you see how we have manual selected down here? So Claude is not going to do anything unless it asks us and we agree. Now, at this point, if I had automatic permissions selected down here or skip all approvals, it would probably just go ahead and do that without asking me. So that's why I say definitely use it with caution. So I found 8 templates, titled new template in the home view, deleting is permanent. How should I proceed? I'm just going to say delete all 8 now. Okay. So if I minimize this now, we should see Claude Chrome deleting these templates because it's been driven and instructed by Claude Cowork. So now you see it's going to go down and select each one and click delete. I'll just let it do the first one just so that you can see the process. And there you go. Now, obviously, this takes a long time, right? I could have easily just gone in there and deleted it. This is just one use case for this. There are many, many other things that you can use the same connection for. And that's why I really wanted to explain this to you. Obviously, we could go down and delete. But let's say even for something simple like this, it's very time consuming. Let's say that we wanted to go to our community and update the description of every video, or we wanted to search our community for different questions, that you can't really do that through the API. So you would have to do that manually. And we can use Claude Cowork to drive Claude Chrome to do it on any link, right? We could do this for YouTube or wherever else. We can't typically do things because we don't have API access, all right? Now, I will say, for those of you Claude Code users, Claude Code can now drive Claude Chrome as well. So if you are working in Claude Code and you need the same type of thing, you need to give it a link to do something manually, or it just can access it because it knows that it needs to use Claude Chrome to access it, you have the ability now to do that inside of Claude Code as well. Well, thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow.